Welcome to Questions from the Crowd here at On Market. Today I'd like to welcome the CEO of Fitgenes, Darren Schliebs. Darren, welcome. Today I have the pleasure of asking you some questions that numerous On Market investors have posed to Fitgenes. First one being Nutrigenomics. What is it? This is the space you're playing in. Can you give us sort of a quick 101 on Nutrigenomics, why it's a great place for investors to be putting their money, and some sort of market size and growth statistics in and around that?
Yeah, it's a nice bit of jargon, isn't it? Nutrigenomics is really just looking at a person's DNA and looking essentially for the best diet, exercise, nutrition, disease risk, and managing all of that without necessarily drugs, with supplementation, with dietary changes and exercise. So it's really providing a wellness solution based on DNA. And in fact, it's been an emerging industry for quite a while, but it's really taking off at the moment. So we had a $400 million of sales in 2018 in this sector, and it's been estimated to be over $900 million US by 2025. So that's an annual growth rate of 12%, 11.8.
And we're saying now that the person at home can purchase products in and around DNA and things like that. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah, and that has been a growth story from the industry, but from a regulatory perspective, that's likely the direct consumer, the home kits are probably not going to be the drivers in this industry. Okay. For reasons of regulatory advice. Actually, you're not allowed to prescribe things for a patient at home without a practitioner being involved typically, and so those sort of tests are actually, whilst they can be good quality sometimes and they nice and flashy, but they don't always provide all the advice that you can get through a practitioner. So in fact, we almost exclusively deal with through practitioners. Over 90% of our sales are in a practitioner channel.
Okay, so that brings us on to Fitgenes. Where does Fitgenes fit into the nutrigenomics sector? And what's your point of difference then to other competitors out there?
Yeah, and in fact, what I just said is a key one, Tim. We're one of the first companies in the world actually that did wellness testing for using genetics. So 2009 was I think one of the first times we did a report. And we have been focusing, as I said, almost exclusively on the practitioner channel in that time. So the point of difference is at this point now, where the regulator's changing and where the environment's changing and practitioners are becoming more important, we're already in that sector. So we know it. We have a deep understanding. We've got 1,320 odd practitioners already accredited with Fitgenes, and it's a space we understand. Now we can see that some of those direct-to-consumer companies are perhaps interested in this sector. We're already here, and we're ready for growth with our new distribution.
So you'll go out to practitioners. That's your distribution model. Is that Australia-wide, US? Whereabouts does that reach for you guys?
Yeah, well, with the modern technology being what it is, we operate globally. So we've got practitioners in Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, and other parts of Asia, and emerging in the US with a new partner in the US. But we already had practitioners in the US. They would actually get trained. They'd actually fly to Australia and get trained and go back and be practitioners in the US. So we've found that is the most appropriate ways to go through those practitioners. We did find, in fact, we've just tweaked our business model. You asked about business model, to focus more on a distribution partners. So the training practitioners individually, which was great. We did that, in a seminar room, but we really the cost of customer acquisition was high. We had to find those practitioners individually, and we had to train them. If we find a partner that already has health and allied health practitioners as their customers, they've got thousands of users. We just have to tap into their users, and that's been very attractive to us, particularly with the new Integria partnership in Australia.
And how's COVID impacting on that model for you in terms of the training and the working with the practitioners?
Yeah, it accelerated what we were doing anyway. So we were already shifting to an online training platform. It obviously limits your ability to grow if you're doing everything in seminars. So we had already digitized our training platform. when COVID hit, we were absolutely ready to start delivering online training. We added 20% of our practitioners actually in the past 12 months during COVID, and 100% of those were delivered through online training tools. What we have done is honed that over the past few months, and we've just launched literally last week a new online training platform for practitioners in Australia. The thousands of practitioners that are customers of Integria and others can just log on and do 19 training modules and be accredited.
Another question here, quite a simple one really. What is it that your product does, and why would someone like me or my wife or whoever in the public want to have a Fitgenes report? Or just talk us through just from the top to the bottom what it is that you've got there that people or practitioners are selling that's so important in relation to health and wellness.
Yeah, it's really straightforward. You can take a view of a patient's genetic makeup, and what we look for are just really simple errors. They're called variations. They're actually just minor mutations, nothing to worry about, and a lot of people have them. And we go through, and they can change the way you might process some minerals in your body. They might cause inflammation. They might give cardiovascular disease risk, or change the way you metabolize fat, all of those things. So we look across that whole screen, and we look for the best interventions that might assist that patient to manage that risk, or to improve their general health and wellness and longevity, or manage cardiovascular disease risk and weight and so on. Those interventions are delivered to the practitioner though. So we advise the practitioner of the most likely interventions to help that patient.
And then target market would be what sort of demographic?
Oh, well, the target market is actually not just the user, but the deliverer, if you like. The practitioners are going to be health and allied health practitioners, GPs, naturopaths, nutritionists. We find most of our users are people in the sort of 35 to 50 odd 60 range, people who are trying to manage long-term health risks, maybe manage their weight, or they're aware of a cardiovascular problem, something like that, and they want to work with a practitioner to manage that risk over time.
So it's a preventative, ideally.
Absolutely. I mean, we're not treating disease here. We're looking at long-term risk and working on preventative measures.
Interesting. Okay. I'm interested in traction-wise. Couple of questions coming in around. We've talked about business model. Interested in then sort of your partnerships. You talked about sort of allied practitioners, global distribution partnerships, and then I guess the scalability of your business model going forward and what you've achieved so far. And I guess a couple of different things on this question. Any other deviations or iterations of your product going forward? I know you had something there. You were talking about the equine industry.
Yeah, that's right. That's a long question. So the growth prospects and the traction have actually been great. I mean, Fitgenes has been around long enough to be a well-established business. We've done 21,000 reports for patients globally. And we've just added new distribution, as I said before, in Australia with Integria Healthcare, who are one of the largest distributors of allied health and supplements and products in Australia. We've added distribution in the northeast of the US with a company called Healthier Together, who are effectively a technology and startup who are looking to provide vitamins and supplements through their customers. They already have 150 clinics that they work with in the US providing other services. They scaled the globe for what they found was the best, and they told us it was the best. And so they had trialed a North American product, and they came to Australia for us. And that actually shows our scalability. It doesn't matter where the user is, we can do the report, primarily because we're effectively an IT platform providing that advice, and we can import the data from anywhere, from a 23andMe test, from a local laboratory, our lab in Australia, that sort of thing. Our contract lab in Australia. We work with a lab in Brisbane.
I'm interested in the equine product, taking this a little bit further. Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, actually, we've got two new products coming out soon. Immune Choice and an equine product. So we saw a gap in the market, of course, for non-human testing. There's a great deal of expenditure on the training of thoroughbreds in Australia and the training of other animals, companion animals, cattle, and so on. So there's a lot of non-human activity, but There's really quite a bit of interest in strength and speed training, dietary concerns, inflammation in horses, and a lot of samples are sent off to the States, or the animal isn't tested at all for DNA testing, or Europe. And so we saw a market need. It's a great solution. It's in Australia, and we're adding also genes and innovation that isn't available in those offshore options. So it's a great opportunity for us, and we're working with leading bloodstock managers and a leading trainer actually in developing that product.
And you're the first in the world to have that technology, yeah?
There are other equine products, but we'll offer the first one with these genes, which provides added value to the trainer and the breeder, not just on one dimension. Is it a speed horse, or is it a stayer? There's a lot more information in the report around dietary options, inflammation risk and injury, and so on.
So you would expect that going forward, if I'm going to a yearling sale or something on those lines, this would be some sort of report would be in there, become sort of mainstream. Is that where we're going to?
We'd certainly love to see that. We know that a lot of trainers already do DNA testing for a very limited number of genes, and we're adding quite a few. We'd like to see it as a standard process in the yearling sales. Certainly, I think there's a lot of value for the trainer once they've got the horse in front of them. What's the best training? Do they need more rests? Do they need better remediation? That sort of stuff. The trainers will find it very valuable, we believe.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and the other product, Tim, was around immunity, so around immune choice. So we'll be launching in the next week or two an immunity product. So we've had that in beta testing for 12 months. So we've been working hard on that, and that assesses a patient's risk of potential risk of infection and their ability to fight infection, and just their general likely immunity. So, and also providing interventions of how to improve that.
And that'll be sold through the practitioners as well?
Oh, that's through practitioners as well. That'll absolutely require a practitioner to be involved in that one.
Okay. The question we always get from the on-market database is really just a summary. Why invest in Fitgenes? Sort of an opportunity there to sum up sort of the main high points. If I'm coming to you as a CEO, I want to give you certain amount of money, how would you answer that?
Yeah, sure. Well, Fitgenes is an innovator in this space. As I said, we're one of the first companies to do it globally, but we've absolutely locked in that process, and we fully understand it, where we understand our channel and we understand it well, and we're growing it with new distribution partners. So we're not spending a significant amount on R&D anymore. We're commercializing our products with new distribution and getting new customers and new users, which is great. And the other important side of the coin is the timing's absolutely right. I mean, as I said before, the market is predicted to grow from $400 million last year to $900 million in 2025. The cost of testing is coming down. So we're able to provide more tests to more people. So it's going to be more accessible to people. And also at that same time as the market's growth, the regulation is changing. So we're seeing the regulators say DNA tests are valuable. The AMA in Australia last year said DNA tests can be very valuable, but you need a practitioner involved. We're already there. We've been there for 10 years. The people that aren't in this space are going to have to struggle to get in there, whereas we're embedded.
Yeah, good answer. No, I like that.
Yeah, well, that's right. And the issue for us is that this is about growth. It's about actually releasing those new products. It's about adding capability and adding partners.
Also, your point around, you've already got the relationships with the practitioners. And once you've got that set in stone and it becomes more affordable, as you're mentioning, that's obviously a good thing. But having more products out there as well is obviously another good thing. The scalability is also important, and we've looked at that. Businesses that can scale the way you're scaling without a massive capital expenditure.
Yeah, that's right. So we devised our business model and indeed our IT infrastructure right from the start to be entirely scalable, which is why, as I said before, we can take our lab data from anywhere, an offshore lab with our partner. We can use 23andMe, and we just plug it into our platform, train the practitioner, and they're away.
Okay. Well, big thank you for joining us. Well answered on all those questions, and we wish you all the success for a successful raise.
Yeah, thanks. No, we're appreciating working with On Market. It's been fun.
Good stuff. Thanks, Darren.
Right, thanks, Tim. Cheers.